Guild master is asking was there a fuss in his guild. He then looks at Hasumi Ryuuji. Hasumi Ryuuji also looks at him. The other goons also acted like nothing was going on. The guild master goes to Hasumi and says that he had not seen him before. Hasumi Ryuuji asks who that person was. Faria tells Hasumi that he was probably the guild master in charge there. The guild master turns around and asks what was going on. They say that they were just messing around. In an overwhelming look, he says that it did not see that way. The person says in a small that guild master was very full of himself, acting high and mighty. The guild master hears this and punches him in the guts. He then tells the others that this was his guild, and he will not let anyone go around causing trouble. He then notices Hasumi Ryuuji looking at him. He goes to him and asks him if there is something he would like to say. The receptionist comes and explains all the situation to the guild master. He then looks at Hasumi asking if he had come to register. Hasumi Ryuuji says yes, but then he changes his mind after seeing the guild master. The guild master shouts at him to wait. He tells him not to get flustered as he was going to test Hasumi Ryuuji personally. Behind the Adventurers Guild, at the training ground, the people from the guild tell Faria that they were sorry for her companion. She asks them what they meant. The members explained that the guild master's hobby was to drive away the rookie adventurers, and on multiple occasions folks had been beaten to a pulp and had their hopes crushed. Faria smiles and tells them that there is no need to worry as there is no way Hasumi Ryuuji could lose. They then look at her and question where the confidence was coming from. The guild master tempts Hasumi to attack first. Hasumi Ryuuji thinks that he would like to stick to hand combat, but his opponent knew how to use magic. He rushes towards him thinking if he should get a feel of what the guild master could do first. The guild master immediately looks at Hasumi Ryuuji with a smirk and attacks him with magic. He says to Hasumi Ryuuji that he did well evading that attack. Hasumi Ryuuji wonders what he had done just now. Faria was shocked to see that the guild master was a double element user. His name was Rashio, a human, age 55, and could use fire and earth magic. Adventurers are individuals born with magic power within them in and of itself. Magic power had no element associated with it. However, when manifested as magic, it is brought forth in the form of 4 possible elements. Many humans are only able to use fire magic. Double element users are able to wield one other element and was a rare occurrence. The adventurers from earlier thought that Hasumi Ryuuji was going to go down soon. The guild master, Rashio, was mocking Hasumi Ryuuji, stating that it could not be considered a test if he just runs around evading. Hasumi Ryuuji was analyzing the situation. Rashio's attacks were certainly flashy but were quite monotone. He thinks that if he clads himself in magic power, he could increase his speed. After cladding himself in MP, it was a piece of cake to evade the attacks. Rashio was getting startled. Hasumi Ryuuji comes towards him and Rashio, startled by this trip, and almost falls. Hasumi grabs him and is about to punch him, but he stops and goes back. Rashio was shaking and all the adventurers were shocked, and Faria boasted about what she had told them earlier. Ryuuji asks the guild master what the result of his assessment was. Rashio was mad about the situation. In anger, he tells him that he would never approve Ryuuji's adventurer's registration. The crowd shouts at the guild master Rashio for not keeping his word. Rashio, in a mad state, warns them that if they opposed him, then he will revoke their qualifications too. He then shouts that he was the law of this guild. This makes everyone quiet. The receptionist comes running in the arena. Rashio asks her why she was being so noisy. She states that a troll had broken free from the dungeon and was rampaging through the city. Rashio was left in agony hearing this. Troll of level 37 with superhuman strength and super-fast regeneration skills had entered into the city. It was attacking everyone in its sight. The mages were attacking the troll with their magic. Was their magic working? The troll's hand comes out of the smoke and grabs the adventurer. The other two were in shock, but they tried attacking it once again. But it was too big for them to handle. If things went like this, then the city was going to be completely destroyed. On the arena, the guild master was scared that the troll had broken free from the dungeon. He had never heard of something like that before. Faria speculates that there seems to be precedence for this kind of calamity, caused by the dungeon's growth. Rashio was all scared, shouting why it had to happen in his city of all places. The adventurers ask the guild master what they shall do and if they should form a subjugation party or evacuate the area. The guild master was all frozen and could not say anything. Ryuuji just turns around and leaves. Faria asks Ryuuji where he was going. He tells her that he was going to the site where the so-called troll had appeared. Faria tells him to wait as she wanted to go too. The other adventurers who cared also followed him. The others were just too scared of anything, including Rashio, the guild master. Faria states that the troll had regenerating capability which made dealing with it a lot more difficult. As long as its head was not destroyed, then it could regenerate indefinitely. If it was inside a dungeon, then they would entrap the troll and then attack from high terrain in order to subjugate it. But in the city, there were no buildings taller than it. But Hasumi Ryuuji notices that the troll was almost not covered by magic power, so he could deal damage with a normal attack. He had 5 weapons summoning coins with him. He then calls the other hiding adventurers and tells them to help him as he was going to kill that troll. The others were confused. Faria then volunteers in helping the people evacuate in an orderly manner. One of the adventurers tries to get the attention of the troll. Then when the troll sees the first person, the second one shouts from the side. The troll is angered and chases them. Hasumi was at the training ground. He sees that the adventurers had successfully lured the trolls to the training ground. They shout at Hasumi as the troll attacks them. Hasumi praises them and tells them to leave the rest to him. Faria asks him what he was planning to do. There was a string on his hand. As the troll moved forward, Hasumi Ryuuji shined light to the troll which blocked its vision, and right then he pulled the string. A huge explosion occurred from right underneath the troll. The troll gets blasted back. The others were shocked, wondering what had happened just then. They understood that he provoked the troll with the light, but they could not understand how he had caused the explosion. Faria also stood watching, wondering what that was. She could feel that it was no magic. The troll fell on the ground. That only tripped the troll. It was quite sturdy. To think that he needed to resort to setting a booby trap made with a hand grenade against a monster. The other noticed that the troll was starting to get up. Faria calls out to Ryuuji. Ryuuji was already prepared. He was not going to let it happen. He then uses another coin to get a grenade and then throws it at the troll's head. He then starts using the summoning coin and throws more grenades at the monster. He was now down to his last coin. He summons a 5.56 by 44 mm NATO caliber AATF-1 Minimetria's light machine gun with his last coin. He starts shooting the monster. Finally, the monster was on the ground permanently. He again levels up. Faria comes running at Ryuuji, asking him if he was injured. Ryuuji tells her that he was fine. The other adventurers come praising him and asking him what he did just now. They then start asking him to join his party. The same adventurers who were against him joining the guild were asking Ryuuji to join them. but they knew everyone had changed their view and become entranced by him. Faria speculated that as she thought he was not an ordinary person. Nevertheless, she had never seen those weapons that he had used. She wonders who in the world was Hasumi Ryuuji. The guild master comes to the training ground. He was still mad with Ryuuji. The adventurers tell him to stop being unreasonable and tell him acknowledge Ryuuji as an adventurer as he had single-handedly defeated the troll. One adventurer suggests that Ryuuji should undisputedly be recognized as an A-rank adventurer. Rashio tells everyone to shut up. He tells everyone that he saw it all had Ryuuji had only won because of those weapons and shouts that he would never acknowledge Ryuuji. He states that it was his guild, and he was not giving clearance to Ryuuji to join the guild as he had no magic power. The crowd starts shouting at him to cut his bullshit and his outright despotism, calling the guild master idiots. Rashio turns to the crows and shouts at everyone to shut up, stating that he would strip all of their qualifications. Just then another person arrives there saying to Rashio that he was going a little too far. Ryuuji asks who he was. One of the adventurers explains to him that he was the count who governed the area. The count tells Rashio that he did not remember giving Rashio authority to that extent. Rashio states that the guild's management was his. The count agrees that it was under him, but he states that it was given to him in hopes that he would carry out proper and unbiased management. The count then asks if he should report the situation to the guild's headquarters. Heeding this makes Rashio scared. He gets on his knees and asks for apologies. The count then comes to Hasumi Ryuuji and apologizes to him as the ruling lord of the land and thanks him for rescuing the city. He states that he would bear all the responsibility for his adventurer registration and allow it to proceed. Hasumi Ryuuji tells him that he was a lifesaver and corrects him for saying that he was the savior. He says that he could not have done it without the others' help. The lord of the city thinks that it was very modest of Hasumi Ryuuji, and yet, most adventurers put emphasis on their own merits and achievements. He turns to Faria and says to her that now he knows why he was charmed by him. Faria is all shy and tells him to stop. The adventurers were confused how the count knew the girl. They ask her how she knew the count. The count tells she knows him. That was nonsense. Faria was his daughter. A carriage then comes to take them. The count states that a few days ago he received a letter from his daughter and Hasumi Ryuuji was mentioned in the letter. Hasumi Ryuuji thinks that must have been the time when he stayed at the inn. The count then states that Faria's letters were habitually reminiscent of clerical reports, but this one was incredibly long, which surprised the count. Hasumi Ryuuji then looks at Faria's stat window. There was no mention of her being a noble. He then looks at Faria, thinking if noble's daughter did not count as job. He then looks at the stat window of the count and sees that it showed in his case. He did not understand the criterion for the stats. The feudal lord, Johann Mirabelt, then starts speaking. He asks if it was okay for him to leave the troll's dropped items behind there and come with him. He tells Hasumi Ryuuji that he could dispatch someone to retrieve them if necessary. Hasumi Ryuuji says that it is not necessary as he wanted to travel as light as possible. Just then the guard knocks from outside and tells them that they will be reaching their destination soon. The count welcomes Hasumi Ryuuji to the Mirabel estate. They then get in. The maid brings Hasumi Ryuuji water to clean himself up. He then gets dressed, and after that the maid shows him the way. Hasumi Ryuuji thinks of the feudal lord, the count. He wonders what power he actually held in this world. Looking at the estate, he thinks that the count was very wealthy. He hears Faria from behind apologizing for being late. She was dressed in a beautiful dress and looked like a true royalty. Ryuuji then again looks at her stats. He notices that her job field had again changed to count's daughter. He gets the job changed based on the situation. If so, he He thinks that spies and assassins can easily take advantage of it. Faria thinks that he was looking at her and becomes very shy and asks Hasumi Ryuuji if she looked weird in that outfit. Hasumi says that it looked very nice and suited her very well. This made Faria blush even more. She was all red. Her father notices this and smirks. All of them sit in the table. The Count states his gratitude and thanks for saving his daughter's life. He then asks Ryuuji, who he is apologizing for the rudeness, to ask this question very bluntly. Faria tries to stop him, but the Count continues, stating that he could not have been an ordinary person, as he was able to single-handedly defeat a goblin king, dragon, and troll. Faria tells her father to stop being rude to Ryuuji. Hasumi Ryuuji told them that he did not mind those questions. He thinks that sooner or later he had to talk to someone about this anyway, as he wanted allies in this world. He then states that he was not a human native to this world. This confuses both Faria and the Count. Hasumi Ryuuji then explains everything to them. Faria could not believe that something like this could happen. The Count thinks that there may be gods who were capable of that, but this was the first time he had heard of something like this. The Count then continues, asking if he will. Hasumi Ryuuji says yes, that he would want to return to his original world, and in order to achieve that he needed to conquer the mythic dungeon. Faria stands up in shock, telling him that it was unreasonable. She states that only one person in a several hundred years is capable of doing that. Hasumi Ryuuji then states that he had no reason not to try, because his comrades were waiting for him on the other side. The Count tells that he understood and wonders if it was a divine providence. He looks at him, asking what the Count meant. The Count explains that the mythic rank dungeon's entrances were blocked by seals, and an item known as Divine Gate Key was required to enter any of them. There were Divine Gate Keys that corresponds to each dungeon. One can only get hands on those in legendary rank dungeons. The closest mythic rank dungeon from the place they were sitting at was located at the royal capital, the Dragon God Dungeon. Its Divine Gate Key was said to lie in the city of Redom's legendary rank dungeon. One needed the Lord's permission to carry out an exploration in its depths. Hasumi Ryuuji then asks the feudal lord if he could get his approval to go to the dungeon. He then says that he could of course get the permission as a thanks to saving his daughter. No, he states that it would be dishonest to express it like that, as that was not the main reason. He was granting Hasumi Ryuuji the permission. Faria looks at her father as her states that he would be frank about the situation, and says that he had something that he needed to ask of Hasumi Ryuuji. He requests Hasumi Ryuuji to conquer the legendary rank dungeon and save his territory.
Thank you for joining us in this recap journey. If you liked the video, don't forget to hit the like button. Comment if you have suggestions, want more of the series. Don't forget to share it with your friends. Do subscribe if you want more similar content. This is Universe Nexus, your passport to the immersive realms of anime and manga.